Considéré comme l'un des piliers du heavy metal, une revanche contre le sort qu'il a évincé de Metallica, Dave Mustaine a porté à bout de bras Megadeth jusqu'à aujourd'hui. En 2002, le groupe se séparait à cause d'une vilaine blessure au bras de Mustaine. Aujourd'hui, avec un nouveau label, un nouveau manager et un nouvel album, les tracas semblent oubliés. Enfin, peut-être pas tous.
Am I the only one able? No, no, no. I think that there's a lot of bands that are popular right now that are really capable of playing heavy riffs and doing solos, and I think there's a generation of guitar players that are coming up right now that think that it's okay to not play guitar. You know, you don't play any farther over than the D string, and guitar to me is meant to be tuned at A440. If you want to play lower registry, get a 7-string guitar, because the guitar on the top end of the registry, when you know how to play it and you know how to play all of it, it's just such a remarkable instrument. I know that classical music was written on a piano, and it's really difficult to translate over onto a guitar, so it's even that much more unique the way that a guitar plays different from other stringed instruments like a violin, for example. I can't for the life of me think why a guitar player would tune his guitar down and then only play a small section of it. That's like playing golf with only one club. A doctor says that I would only have 80% use of my hand again, and that I would never play guitar. And in the beginning I was a little angry about it, and then I thought, you know what, I know who I am, you know. I've never shied away from a fight. I've never given up in the face of adversity. I've always come through. It's been a little ugly sometimes, but you know, there's never been a lack of fight in me. So I went and did 4 months of grueling physical therapy, and then another 13 months of physical training after that to get my arm back, and took guitar lessons after that, and started studying how to play guitar. And you know, every once in a while it'll hurt a little bit. Sometimes, like it just started hurting right now as soon as I started talking about it. It's like, hey, I'm here. But as far as the playing is concerned, I think I play better now, because as I had to learn how to play again, I overcame some of the old cheats that I used to use. Sometimes I'll be on stage and I'll be playing away, and I'll remember the little teacher saying, you know, pull your fingers in, or keep your fingers aligned with the frets this way, and I'm thinking, I hate you, why'd you say that? Because you ruined my style, now I think too much when I play. But it's definitely made a big difference, because it's made me more articulate as a player. It wasn't that I did it just because I wanted to, it's because I had to. I had to. My career was at a point where I was sitting on the verge of making what I believe is my best record, and I just didn't want to tolerate any more people who were, you know, along for the ride. I wanted people who were going to be pulling the wagon with me. You know, it's just, my career has been very, very well documented, and there's been a lot of ups and downs over it, and a lot of it is people, they saw how I did business, and that, you know, we really had a good time doing it, and a lot of people would come around and kind of make themselves part of our whole organization, and then make it so that they couldn't be gotten rid of very easily. When I first started, I was playing BC Rich, but the guitars were basically junk, and they would break all the time. The necks wouldn't stay true, and they were just so inconsistent, one model from the next. You'd have one that played really well, and the other one played like somebody could paddle a boat with it. And the bridges were always off. I just couldn't stand it anymore, so I went to Jackson and I laid out a lot of money to have them custom make me a guitar exactly to my hand shape, exactly to my body specifications, and exactly to where I wanted the knob configuration on it. That became the Dave Mustaine signature Flying V setup. Went to ESP, was there for a couple of years, had a good run while I was there, and just realized it wasn't where I wanted to stay. And moved on over to, I was going to go back to Jackson, because I told him, if you want me to come back, this is the terms I'm going to come back under. And everything was worked out. I had a new contract sitting in my email box waiting for me to be signed. And I'm just getting ready to print it out. I was going to sign it the next day, and I get a phone call. Hey, this is a girlfriend of Michael Shanker calling up, and the guys from Dean want to talk to your husband. So my wife goes, hey Dave, Dean wants to sign you. And I said, are you kidding me? I said, you know, I'm getting ready to sign with Jackson right now. They're going to have to make a very serious offer because I'm ready to go. I'm not going to go through another month, 2 months of negotiating with somebody. And they made me an unbelievable offer that involves being part of their franchise, you know, one of their flags of the company that they're going to fly the highest. You know, I'm not going to say I'm their franchise, but I feel like it, and they've just given me keys to their kingdom. I love the company. The only thing that I was concerned about was the headstock because it's that V shape, and I've always had 6 inline except for the BC Riches, which I really didn't like. Once I went to Jackson and I made my specific model, it was 6 tuners in a row. So when we went over to Dean, that was a sticking point. Regardless of the promotion or the marketing or the money or any of that stuff, I had to be able, if I had a problem on stage, to have it the same way I'm used to. Way my hands used to tuning in a row, where my knobs are used to rolling off, where the switches, it has to be exactly the same because I'm a creature of habit. I've developed a style of guitar playing that's influenced a lot of people, and I'm not going to try and relearn how to play a new guitar on top of trying to learn how to play the guitar again. It's just too much for my brain. So they said, no problem. I was, really? That easy? You're not going to argue? And a fight? No, Dave, we want you. We love you. You're great. Let's rock. And I was like, let's rock. And they made me my prototype, and it's floating around London somewhere right now. It got lost on the way over here. I don't know if you know that or not. When we were having dinner one night, the engineer's wife shows up from the airport. She doesn't know anything about the house. She walks in, puts her luggage down, she comes down, sits down at dinner with us, and she goes, you know what, this is going to sound crazy, but I think I just saw something upstairs, because she's from Nashville. She goes, I saw a little girl, and I got the feeling that, you know, she's looking for her mommy. And everyone at the table's like, oh my God, it's true. My dream would have been to play guitar like Jimmy Page and to be a golden god frontman like Robert Plant. And I can't sing like Robert Plant, and I'm not into wearing clothes that's too small for me, so that's kind of where it ended with Robert. But as far as the sex appeal of being a frontman and having the heaviness of a guitar player, those two guys were the epitome of you know, rock and roll. When you're going to do a cover song of a band, you want to do it as good as the band did it originally or better. I mean, how can you do a song better than Led Zeppelin? You can't. So my challenge was to do it as good as they did it, and breaking it down piece by piece. We rented John Bonham's drum kit.
Yes.
So we're playing on Bonzo's kit, and we're playing the drums identical to what he did on the song, and adding just a little bit more to give it that Megadeth element. So I believe that the drums are comparable. The bass playing that John did on the record versus what James did on the record, I know that James played as good as John Paul Jones did, because I hear what's on the record and I know what James did, and it's comparable. As far as the rhythm is concerned, I played the rhythm myself and I know it's as good. There's a couple of little pieces in between there too, like where it goes doodle-da-da, right? So that's the normal one. I go doodle-da-da, I put one of my little signature kind of percussion things in there. And I think that it freshens the song up a little bit, makes it a little more modern sounding. The scary part for me was getting into the choruses, because the vocals are so high anyways. Robert had an unbelievable scale, his range, what he could do. And I couldn't sing as high as he was. I figured I'd have to make it, you know, a la Dave Mustaine in order for it to have any credibility, because I was limited in my range. Singing a Led Zeppelin song, singing somebody else's stuff that you look at like being so amazing, it's hard for you to really think, you know, I'm going to go up against the original track now. I'm going to try and sing this so that people say this is as good or better than your cover, because what dumb ass is going to make a song and so that people will say, yeah, that really sucked, you did a good job. So the defining moment, I think, with Out on the Tiles is the end, because Out on the Tiles doesn't have a solo. And I played the solo at the end, and it was like a compilation of all my favorite Led Zeppelin solos that I just kind of rolled into a medley that went over the end. and then the song at the very end fades out and it comes back in and it climaxes with ending on Kashmir riff, which I thought was, it's kind of a necessary evil, because if you're really a Led Zeppelin fan, you know at some point you've got to pay homage to Kashmir. If I died right now and I could come back to my family and say one thing, I'd want to say I love you. And that's what the song's about. It's somebody who died and they get a chance to come back. What does the chorus say? To the world, to all my friends, I must depart. Gotta go, I'm dead, but I love you. See, so many people, when people die, they have a hard time dealing with it, because when someone's going to die, you can get prepared for it. Like if someone's getting in old age or they have a disease or something like that, it's a lot easier for you to prepare yourself for their passing away. But when somebody dies unexpectedly, like Anna Nicole Smith, that shocked everybody. No one gave two shits about her before, because she just was a freak with boobs that you know, was Playmate and stuff like that. That's how they talked about her. Totally made fun of her. She dies, all of a sudden she's more popular dead than alive. You know, and people deal with death really, really strangely. You know? I mean, I know that when I heard James Brown died, I was like, what? You know, dies from pneumonia. James Brown. He's like 700 years old out there still dancing. And then all of a sudden he dies because he got a cold? That was unheard of, you know? Surprise. You know, if you're doing something that is going to affect small children, I think that, you know, it's just, I mean, you should use your head, you know. If you're going to do imagery and artwork that is really expressive, you do it in a way that, you know, it's not going to fall into the hands of the wrong people, you know. I've had really you know, expressive lyrics and explicit lyrics, and I've had really detailed and very aggressive artwork, but in no way have I ever done anything to, you know, to make fun of women, like using tits and ass on my covers, or using naked girls on my covers, or having nuns with their tops off, regardless of how great their boobs are. You know, I've never done that. I think that, to me, you know what, that stuff is just unnecessary. If your music's really good, your music's really, really good, close your eyes. Then tell me. Some bands just play too fast, and you just, you know, there comes a point like, who are you playing for? You know, you gotta, what is music? Is it, you know, a sprint? Is it a race? Is it a journey? You know, playing music, depending on how long you want your career to last, if every song is like 200 beats per minute, by the time your career's over, you're going to have, you know, 20 songs, 200 beats per minute. They're going to go by and no one's really going to notice. You need dynamics. I know they told you not to ask that stuff.